to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Melissa Hersko joins me today. Melissa is the award-winning design brain behind Veranda Estate Homes, and along with her husband Rob, they have owned and operated one of Calgary's most successful and versatile luxury home building companies for the last 18 years. Although Melissa's formal education is in graphic design and advertising, it's pretty clear interior design is where she belongs. Today, you'll hear Melissa describe how she brings her meticulous level of detail to each and every project that Veranda is involved in, and how she does all her designs by hand. Whether the project is traditional, modern, renovation work, new or commercial construction, she tackles each one on an individual basis to ensure that they are unique and truly one of a kind, each representing the Veranda brand. In our conversation, you'll hear Melissa share some of her best tips for growing her firm's Instagram following to 80,000 followers. And she also talks about how she and her husband, Rob, are crystal clear on who they will work with and what kinds of projects they will do and what kinds they will not do. They do not waver in this. They do not worry about who they say no to. They concentrate on who they say yes to. And as a result, they consistently build 7 to 10 custom homes every year from the ground up to design to completion. It's pretty remarkable. And you know who else is pretty remarkable? Our show sponsors, Article.com and My Doma Studio. Just like Veranda Estate Homes, both Article.com and My Doma Studio are based in Canada. And like Veranda, they commit every day to doing their best for you so you can do your best for your client. Article.com has delivered thousands of beautiful furniture pieces for living rooms, dining rooms, office, and outdoor spaces to destinations all over the U.S. and Canada for one flat fee of $49. You heard me right. One flat fee of $49. And their entire process is backed by their outstanding customer support team and their 30-day no questions asked guarantee. Open your trade account today at welldesigned.article.com. That's welldesigned.article.com. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about My Doma Studio after my conversation with Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Thank you for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you, Luann. I appreciate the time that you're investing with me.
Well, I have to say, that's exactly how I feel. You are one busy lady, Melissa. I have to say, I'm going to share with everybody that I found you through Instagram and was so super impressed by the work that you and your husband are doing. You are a design build firm, as I mentioned in the introduction, and the more I have learned about you since first inviting you on the show, and then, of course, today, our pre-air conversation, I'm even more impressed with you. And the fact that you look like you're about 25 years old doing it is even more amazing. It's crazy.
Like I said, I have a great friend that works at a cosmetic clinic, and I may visit her every now and then for a little top up.
Well, I'll tell you what, you are doing something right on all levels, business, family, personal. It's really, and I'm really looking forward to getting into it and sharing it with everybody. The first thing that I'd like you to do is you have a design build model that is a little different than most of the design build firms that I have spoken with. So in that, your firm will only do design build of your own projects. So your husband who was the builder originally and came up through the business through his father, somebody can't hire your husband and somebody can't hire you. So tell us a little bit about that model that you've got going on there, Melissa, with Rob.
Yeah, so basically the way that we structure our business is, we like to call it a one-stop shop. So we will assist potential clients in sometimes land acquisition if they do not already own the property. We typically, with most of our clients, like to be involved in the floor plan design as well, just because architects and draftsmen are great, but I look at it from a different point of view. I look at it from a point of view of a finished product. Like, this is a great kitchen layout. However, if I can get 6 more inches on the sink wall, then we can accommodate X, Y, and Z. Our clients come to us and we assist them every step of the way, including, if a property has to be demolished or asbestos remediation or anything like that. And then we're also one of the very few firms in our city that offer the design inclusive as well. So I'm kind of, I call it the bonus feature of building with Veranda, is I'm involved in every single home. So I assist our clients in all of the millwork layouts, all the tile selections, color selections, cabinet hardware, lighting. I source and collect everything for our clients. And as you mentioned, we do it a little bit differently. I have had people call me that are building with other builders. I've even had builders contact me. I had one contact me this past week and say, I'm building a spec home in town. Can you design it for me? No, I cannot. We are a package deal. If you want Melissa, you build with Veranda. And I just feel like it really helps set us apart from our competition in town. And it just gives us that edge that a lot of people don't have. And I would say, and the only reason I say this is because a lot of clients have said this, they come to us because I have a very unique style and something that's different than what they typically see in Calgary. So by having that, if somebody comes to us, they want to build with us, package deal, you get Rob and I, you get Rob's expertise on the construction. You're going to get the best well-built home in town, and you're going to get my expertise when it comes to design, layout, making sure scale, because I'm a huge scale and proportional person, is there. Now, if somebody came to us and said, well, I don't want Melissa to design it, I would probably cry. And I just don't think it would be a great working relationship. So we're fortunate enough that not that we handpick our clients, but we are at a space in our life where you are married to us for 2 years. And if we feel like it's not going to be a great working relationship, we're not going to fight and try to get your house. And I don't want that to come off the wrong way. Did that sound bad?
No, it didn't. No, I love it. Because here's the thing, Melissa, we talk on this show all the time about having your only and what is your unique value proposition to the greater consumer world, and what kind of client are you really targeting. And you know what you just said in there is that you just said that you and Rob have the courage to say no to the client that says, we love the way Veranda, because I can't even say Rob, you're part of the building process as well. So we love the way Veranda builds a home, but we prefer to have our own designer do the interiors. And you guys are willing to say, that's not going to work for us. And I love the way this is, so funny, because designers are consistently saying to me, I don't know how to figure out my only. I don't know how to figure out what my calling card is. And I always say, it doesn't have to be a big thing. And this is it right here. So what you just said is, and I always answer them, I'm talking myself in a circle here, because what I always say is, what is the exact ideal client for you? If you start to figure out, make your true list of your truly ideal client, you'll start to see what it is your only is, because they sort of mirror each other, or at least they're compatible. And so the point is that your absolute golden nugget there was, if somebody were working with Veranda, building a home with us, and they really didn't want me to design the interiors, and I wasn't part of that end of their project, it wouldn't be a happy project for us. You wouldn't be happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's also, we have the same trade base, and most of our trades have been with us for at least 12 years. Some of them have been with us since day one, so 18 plus years. And They know how we work. I know how they work. I know my timelines. I know when things have to be done. I know when visits need to happen to the job site. And when you bring in another interior designer, those levels of expectation may not be there. And I'm very, 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 very on top of our projects and on our jobs, and they are my only priority. Where if somebody is bringing in another interior designer, they're going to have other projects with other builders or other clients, and Veranda's not going to be a priority. And that's just going to make our homes suffer, because I may be waiting for millwork drawings, the last thing I want to do is be, calling somebody going, where's the kitchen cabinet drawings? We're trying to rough in, where if we don't have them, that's on me, and I have to own that.
Right. I love it. I think it's really terrific. And the thing about it is there is always a point in everybody's business, in their own business, where they have to say, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I say to the designers that I work with all the time in coaching, it's think about what you will and you will not do. And so the two of you have figured out what we will do is we will build custom, luxurious design and build homes all day long. We will do a limit of 7 to 10 per year, and we will only do it as a one-stop shop. That it's our trades, our design, our fit. Like, that's it. I love it. And what we won't do is we won't hire Melissa out over here to work for this person. We won't hire Rob out over here to work for this person.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
It's and I'm not going to say it was always been peachy, because obviously building a business, you have to make mistakes and you have to learn from those mistakes. And we made some in the past by taking on clients that we didn't really feel we would mesh with, or a project that we weren't passionate about. And you know what? It was never a great experience. Right. And as I mentioned, I'm married to you for a year or two. If we're not going to jive, and if I don't love your personality, and if I'm not excited about the project, it's not going to be beneficial for anybody, because this is your biggest financial investment you'll most likely ever make. Number two, it's also one of the top 3 most stressful things you can do besides get married and lose somebody.
Right.
And, like a death. So for me, I have to really respect that and go with it.
And I love it that you shared that. It isn't always easy. It isn't that you just pop out and open up a business and understand that these are your what I will do and what I won't do scenarios. You learn them through the mistakes of going through it and saying that really didn't work out. And so what I always say to the designers is, even though if you listen to every single podcast episode, and even if you believed every single one of your colleagues with every single one of the lessons that they learned the hard way, you're still going to, and even if you were the person that said, I'm just going to take it at face value and I'm going to do it this way, you're still going to manage to make mistakes, and you're still going to manage to, through the experience and the maturation of having a business over 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to start to really formulate your personal what I will and what I will not do's. And so, so it doesn't you just don't know it when you open your business. It comes from, what is this? There's a saying, I have it on my website. It's an expert is a person who has made every mistake they can in a field.
It's so true, though.
I think about window treatments. I'm like, yep, made that mistake. Yep, made that mistake. So that's terrific. All right. So now talk to me. You mentioned in there that you had a little sentence in there about where an architect looks at a house a certain way and that the designer looks at it in a different way. And we had a conversation on the show with John and Teresa Dorlini, and they are the couple of Circle Design Studio, and that was episode number 380. And John and Teresa are an architect and a design firm. So John, as the architect, said that he 110% always wants the designer in on the beginning of the project. And he said for the exact same way, I have so much criteria that I need to filter through in order to create this for you, but it's that designer eye that comes in and says, to your point, we could pick up 6 more inches here, right?
Yeah.
And so is the architect part subbed out? In other words, do you have that in-house, or do you have one that you will only use as well, or is that a level that's up for grabs?
I have one in particular that we've been working with closely for the last 3 years, and I have a fantastic working relationship with him because he puts up with me and my personality, and I can push him. And that's what I like, because I don't like working with those architects that are set in their way. This is the way I do it. And also his plans are meticulous. He is costly. He's not one of the most, he's not the most expensive in town, but he is certainly not the most cost effective either. But at the end of the day, you get what you pay for. And it's a great relationship. And typically we are involved from day one. I meet with him before I actually meet with my clients and him together. However, I do have those clients that will bring us floor plans, because people do that. Well, let's go get a home designed. And once the home is designed, then we'll take it to the builder. And they bring us these plans. And I had it happen last year or the year before. And I open up these plans and I'm like, I look at Rob, I'm like, what's this gentleman's budget? And he's like, $1 million. I'm like, it's 1.4. Like, I can just look at a house and I can know what it's going to cost. And of course we didn't win that bid, which is fine. It was, again, one of those ones where, okay, no problem. Bye. Have a good day. Good luck. Good luck with that. You know, and I'm actually dealing with one potential client right now, and we've met with them a few times, and they are just having a really hard time grasping getting a fair quote from builder to builder. And she's like, you know, you gave us your quote and it was so incredibly detailed, but you're more than the other builder. And Rob's a straight shooter. We both are. And he's like, well, let me ask, what was the price spread between what I am quoting you and what this other builder is? And she's like, well, you're about $90,000 difference. And this is on about a $1.1 million home. And he said, okay. And she's like, but his proposal wasn't as detailed as yours. And we're like,
right. There was details of another $90,000 and a nickel and dime you along the way, right?
And they just have a comfort level, and we've tried and we've talked to them about it, but they just have a comfort level of going with their own architect and getting something designed. So we actually said, you know, get examples from these two draftsmen that you're talking to, send them to us, let us take a look at them. And Rob actually replied to them today. He's like, okay, X person, do not go with. It'll be, you know, a complete nightmare. There's no details. I can already tell numbers are not adding up on the plans and everything else. Where this other guy is okay, but it's as basic as we want to get with a home that we build. You know, so it's I like to be involved, but with every client, you can't always be involved.
Okay.
You know.
So sometimes the point is, though, that sometimes, like, if a client is attracted to you and Rob and Veranda Home, they can walk through the door and just start completely at scratch with you and say, we don't have a home we have a home in our mind, but we don't have a plan, we don't have a drawing, we don't have anything, and they can truly do one stop with you.
And that is typically what 95% of our business is.
Okay. So you really are carving this niche out of being the authority and the place for that. It sounds like, you know what it is we also talk about on the show is about creating the client experience and expressing your value. So you are really, in your area, you are really making it so clear to the consumer out there what your value is. And your value is, if you really have us involved from literally point one to point end point, it's going to be a well-handled experience.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, we're dealing with another potential client right now who has plans already, although the plans are done with the architect that we deal with on a daily basis. So I have 100% faith in him. And we had a meeting with him the other night, and he said, well, it's, you know, I'll be honest, it's between you and this other builder. And he said, but this other builder doesn't have a designer on staff. And he's like, I love every single thing you do. And I said, okay, I understand that. And I said, so what is your concern? Why are we not signing on this dotted line right here? Just kidding, didn't have the contract yet. And he was like, basically, he's like, it's going to come down to cost, which I totally respect that. And I get that. And he said, you know, we encourage people, do your due diligence, talk to other builders, see what sets us apart from everyone else out there. You know, check our references. Like, I give, with previous clients' permission, I give potential clients every single person that we've built for or renovated for over the last 10 years. I have nothing to hide. You know, check every single one. We built our business on our reputation. We don't do any form of advertising at all. Everything is either word of mouth or repeat clients. So I'm like, if you're coming to us either from my Instagram or from a previous client that built for us, then you know that we're going to be there starting from day one to like well after you've possibly moved in and already moved out of that home. Like, we don't go away. We build relationships with these people, and we want to ensure that even after the house is done, if something needs to be fixed, we're going to be there to help you. We're the ones that put the pieces together. We're not walking away once we hand you the keys.
Right. I love it. I think it's all so awesome. Now, one of the things that I know that maybe you could share from your expertise, Melissa, is often a designer who, now we're walking away from your model for just a minute for this question. So a designer listening, this is one of the things that they struggle with often is a potential client will come to them. They will say, I've got this, plan to build a home here, XYZ, and it's not a one-stop shop. They've had the architect and now they've got the contractor that's going to build it. The builder's going to build it. And they're now investigating interior designers. And a big disconnect is a client, before they hire an interior designer to execute all of those hardscape finishes all the way through to lighting and yada yada, that client understandably wants to have an idea, like, okay, it cost me this much for the property, it's going to cost me this much to have the home built, the builder gave me this estimate, what am I looking at for this whole interiors thing? And so often the designers will say to me, how am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to tell them what that's going to cost until we've picked it? Did you pick this kind of floor, this kind of cabinet, this kind of thing? And the thing is, I have said often, I'm sorry, you have to figure out a way to come up with a number on this. Because as a consumer, I want to know that too. I'm not going to hire you with an open end. Well, 3 years from now, I might have spent, another $200,000 with you, or it could have been 20. And I had a designer on the show, Sarah Magnus, and she recommended, very knowledgeable, very smart lady, and she recommended that you say that you come back and you say to the client, well, what is your construction budget? And then you say to them that you should figure not design fees, but just, that interiors budget should be, I think 15 to 18% or 12 to 15% of the construction budget. And you said that you could look at a floor plan, a blueprint of a drawing and guess out what it would cost to build. So do you have that same superpower with the design finishes in there?
Like finishes in regards to cabinetry or finishes in regards to furnishings?
Yeah, I would say like the whole thing. If I'm like client A, I've never built a house before. I'm like your clients seem to be those potential clients. And, what's the $90,000 difference? I understand you were just talking about the build difference price, right? But if I also said, well, if I go with you and I understand that it's 90 to build, does that include the way your Instagram looks? Does that include flooring, lighting, countertops, cabinetry?
So with our specifications, and I understand exactly where you're going with this because so many builders give unrealistic budgets. They're like, a designer will look and they're like, you gave them $3 for tile. Are we going to Home Depot in the clearance section? Right. So with our proposals, we have obviously quite a few meetings with the potential clients before we get to this point. But I'm like, okay, if you want a marble mosaic in bathroom number 2, I'm going to give you a tile allowance that's going to give you that tile. I'm not going to give you a $3 or an $8 square foot allowance. I'm going to bump up that allowance for that specific bathroom to $45 a square foot, maybe more, depending on what you want. So we really try to get a good understanding of what our clients want so we can meet that expectation. And during that process, we talk to them, and if their budget is, say their budget is $1 million for round number, and it comes in at 1.1, I'm like, okay, let's sit down and let's discuss how can we get this closer to your budget? Because everybody has a budget and that budget needs to be respected. And I find so much time in this industry, a client's budget is not respected by builders and designers. I think it goes both ways.
Right.
But it's our job to ensure that we're making sure that if this is your comfort level, I'm going to do everything in my power to give you a beautiful home that is well appointed, that is well built, that is as close to your budget as possible. And yeah, you may want marble mosaic in this bathroom, but guess what? It's not in the budget. So let's source and let's find something that does work within your price point. And I think it really comes down to the customer at the end of the day, getting that designer in from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like same with, if you're going to go and you're going to design the home, have a designer in mind or somebody that you've retained that you can work with and have them throughout that process. So when you are meeting with this contractor, then if you're going kind of the non-Veranda way, I'll say it. And then when you're meeting with this contractor, the designer can say, you know what, for a tile backsplash in their kitchen, we're probably going to be spending around $42 a square foot. So let's make sure that there's an appropriate budget. For their lighting, they like a lot of visual comfort or Currey company. So we know that we need to up the light allowance because we're not going to be going on Wayfair to select our lighting for the home, even though there's expensive lights on Wayfair, not knocking it. And you want to have those conversations. You know, where do you want your hardwood in the home? Is it throughout the main level or throughout the entire second level as well? Because there's going to be a cost difference between hardwood and carpet. You know, what type of hardwood? Are you wanting pre-finished or are you wanting finished on site 6-inch white oak? That's quarter sawn with a water-based finish. So these are the conversations that we have with our clients, and that's part of our business model. But I find a lot of times when designers come into the fact after the potential client has already hired the contractor is just throwing numbers out to get the deal at the end of the day. Let's face it. Right. That's how majority of them work. And then the designer is stuck in the middle because the client hires them with the expectation that they're going to deliver what's on their website and what they've done before, but the contractor has given them more of a budget conscious clearance special allowances.
Right. Is there any way to use a rule of thumb that says, for instance, a veranda quality custom build home, you can expect it to cost between $200 and $300 a square foot with everything except furniture, like your lighting, your hardscapes, all of that, the build, everything. Is that a rational thought? Is that?
Yes and no. So we kind of hate what's your price per square foot? Because we always joke it's like trying to buy a car by a pound.
Right.
A Range Rover pound is a lot more than a Ford Escort pound.
Right.
You know, so and you really need to compare apples to apples. And because every home that we build is so different. We've never done the same home twice. Every home is spec'd at a different level based on what the client's needs are and their budgetary restrictions. It's hard to say. I mean, we will kind of throw those numbers out, but we always caution people, don't hold us to it. And also with us being in Canada, our costs are so much more than those in the States. I mean, what we pay even for a Sub-Zero fridge would knock your socks off. We're about 40% more on appliances than what you pay in the States. And I was even talking to a designer friend about plumbing faucets. And I was like, I got quoted $6,000 for this tub filler for the kids' bathroom. And she's like, what? I put that in a house and it was $2,000. I'm like, yeah, welcome to Canada, you know? So I nobody who's listening should take my numbers and the numbers I'm throwing out into consideration, because if you're in the States, it's like building for free.
Right. Well, we have a lot of Canadian designers listening, so
so they feel my pain.
Yes. Okay, but again, I have to say, you know, this is where I like push back as a consumer. Even if I were to look at you, Melissa, and say, okay, I'm talking about your Instagram worthy home. Because how do I even go back to my own family budget and decide if this is even reasonable? There are ways that you would say, okay, expect it to be in this price range. But until we decide if it's mosaic tile in the guest bath and XYZ on the backsplash, it's going to change. But you could ballpark it, right?
I can ballpark it. And I also tell clients, I said, one thing you have to realize when you're looking at our Instagram and at our website, all the homes that I post are anywhere from brand new to 14 years old. And price range is anywhere from under $1 million to $4 million. And I challenge people. I said, try to pick out, the dated ones. I think you can, just based on colors and also the, level of quality of photography in them. But I'm like, price wise, I think you're going to be really hard pressed to try to figure out which one was, $1 million versus 2 versus 3, image wise. A lot of it does come down to size and structure and, architectural detailing on the exterior. Is it an 1812 roof pitch or 612? Because there's going to be a big cost difference with that. But one thing that we pride ourselves on, and I tell every client, I'm like, I don't care if you're spending $800,000 with me or $8 million. It's going to be the same trade base, and I'm going to put the same amount of effort and passion into the home, because at the end of the day, our name is on it, and I want to make sure that it is absolutely incredible and that you're proud of it and I'm proud of it, because I want to share it with my followers and on our website.
Right. Well, and that's where your expertise comes in. If you have that $1,100,000 budget and you need to get it $100,000 down, you're going to sit there and figure out what the client is willing to forego, in what ways you don't sacrifice the overall quality feeling of the home, but you can finagle things so that you can get it down there.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so now Tell us a little bit about, how does your firm work? So I understand the website states it very clearly. It's 7 to 10 homes per year. You've said a couple of times during the conversation that you have your set trades and you use them, all your different teams for each of the components of the project, for every project. So this must be an incredible chess game of staging your clients at all different parts of the project, so that you don't have you can't have 10 houses that all need the rough-in plumbing crew at the same time, right? How do you work that out? How does that happen, Melissa?
So I kind of call it a conveyor belt system, like everything kind of falls in place. So we have the same trade base from home to home. So I can never have 2 homes that are ready for a foundation because I only have one. We have a couple, we call them cribbers up here. We have a couple guys that do the form walls that we like, but there's one in particular. He's our favorite just because his work is absolutely flawless. So we will push out a home if it means that we're getting Dale to do the foundation of the home. Same for framing. If we need to push out the construction of this home so Dale can move from the one, say, in Bears Paw to the one on 15th Street and everything else. So Rob's really the mastermind behind the scheduling in regards to the trade base to ensure that there is no lag in any home. Because if you go to any of our job sites Monday through Friday, no matter what stage it's at, unless it's foundation and it's minus 30 like it has been for the past 3 weeks, somebody will be there Monday through Friday working. Our goal is to start construction, continue it, and get it done. So we build most of our homes. The larger, really detailed higher-end homes do take longer, but our typical home is completed within 10 to 12 months once the shovel hits the ground to when our client gets the key. And I know a lot of builders can take their time. There's one builder I saw is building a home, and I think it's been under construction for 3 years, and it's not that big of a home. And I'm like, how? Like, how are you going to make any money on this project if it's been lagged out for that long? And if it's been lagged out for that long, that client has changed their mind on every single thing that they wanted in that home if it's been going on for that long. So yeah, Rob is really great at ensuring that everything kind of falls in line, and our clients are understanding. They know that we're busy and that we take on a limited amount of homes. So if the schedule works, it works. And if it doesn't, either they have to be okay with that and they know that, okay, you know what, we have to move you out. Like, we understand that you wanted to start construction in summer so you could have your home in summer of next year. It's just not going to work. We can't fit you in until the fall. And here's the reason why. And we're very forthcoming with our clients, and we'll explain, like, this is where our schedule is right now. You know, and it's kind of, I don't want to say first come, first serve, but I've had some clients take one go around with the floor plans till they're 100%. And then I've had other clients that I've needed to redesign the exterior or even the interior of the home 3 or 4 times before they're happy with it. And if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But whoever's plan is ready first, and I got my, building permit in hand, they're the next in line. And clients are great. I mean, like I said, our clients are fabulous. They understand, they know that it's a business because most of them are business owners themselves, which is a huge advantage because they understand we're running a business. We're not doing this because it's, fun, which it is fun. I love what I do.
So the thing is, there's a couple of things in there. Number one is you're not going to sit there and say to somebody, okay, yeah, we'll start your project in January, knowing that your framer, if you start a project in January, the framer, I have no idea, but say the framer should be there in March, and you don't have a framing crew ready for March. They were not going to be ready till May. You're not going to start that project and then let it sit and maybe say whatever nonsense to the client. You're just going to say to the client, we're going to start your project instead of January, we're going to start it in March or February because that's when I need you know what I mean? That's what you're saying. You don't putz it along. You don't pretend things. Okay, I like that. And then the other thing is that I heard in there, so it sounds like you're also not going to put them in the queue for a start date until everything has been selected. So, like,
not
when you said somebody could
selected.
The interiors, like you were saying, like, so what, the big things like millwork, room, or just room plan, like to what level before you have to break ground that you'll let them get in the queue?
I need a full, complete working set of floor plans because I need a building permit for them. So once the floor plans are 100% complete, that's when we can start the process of getting in for a building permit, because we need to get all the engineering done, the floor layouts, the roof truss layouts, and everything else. Once that home is approved for building permit, that's when I start my scope of the work. That's when I start doing all the millwork drawings. As I'm doing my millwork drawings, I'm doing plumbing selections, I'm doing countertop selections, I'm confirming lighting, because I need to know what scale are the pendants going to be over the island. Do I need 2 or do I need 3? How far in do I want them? Right. So,
but Rob is doing foundation and framing while you're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's handling I always tell people, I'm like, Rob makes it stand up and I make it pretty.
That's cute. That's cute. Okay. So tell us a little bit about the dynamics of your team. What's crazy is you're all going to hear now that there's only 4 people on their team. You have you yourself, you and Rob. You have Dana is her name?
Danielle, who is our amazing office admin, and then we actually have 2 project managers.
Okay, so there's that are on site. Yeah. So 2 project managers, an office administrator, and the 2 of you execute these 7 to 10 homes every year. And then, of course, your preferred trade base, you said. So tell us a little bit about how 5 of you work in unison to execute this many details.
So it's a lot of fun, and the one thing that is a saving grace for us is every Tuesday morning we have our weekly site meeting. So we get together in the boardroom and we sit and we go through each job point by point, what needs to be done next, because we always have to think 10 steps ahead of where we're going to be. Like if we know that a framer's coming into a home to frame in the basement and he's going to be there next week, we need to go ahead and we need to get the plumber and the electricians lined up for the rough-ins, because why wait until it's framed and then make those calls? So you always want to be thinking, a few steps ahead. So every Tuesday morning we have our site meeting, which allows us to get on the ground on Monday after the weekend, refresh our memory, take notes from each job site. All of us are in communication with each other every day. And my big thing that I preach is everything needs to be in writing. So the amount of emails that I get on a daily basis, not only from our staff, but from trades and suppliers and clients, is mind-boggling, especially considering that I can't have any emails in my inbox. But it's just everything is covered in writing, and we communicate constantly. I mean, since we've been doing this podcast, I've gotten 6 phone calls from Harley and Niall and Danielle. I'm like, I'm in a meeting right now.
High business stuff happening here now. Very important.
Very important things. Making plans. But no, so the Tuesday site meeting is crucial for us, and we go through job by job. And then usually about half an hour after that's done, Danielle gets the minute meetings out to us. So we all have a hard copy of what our project and where each project is and the stage and what needs to be done next for the following week. Myself, I am on site on a daily basis once the home gets to the lockup stage. So I visit it randomly, while it's being framed, to answer framing questions and everything. But once the rough-ins start, that's when my role is really pivotal, because I'm the one that's going to walk in and be like, plumber has that in the wrong spot, or the electricians have this plug over too much because I have a cabinet that's coming out 26 inches and one plug's going to be pulled over. So I'm the eyes on the site for that. The guys are on the sites, and we kind of split them up between northwest and southwest of Calgary, because it's actually quite a sprawled out city. So Niall is taking care of the northwest for us, and Harley takes care of the southwest. And so they're on site daily as well, sometimes 7 days a week, depending on what stage it's at. And they are ensuring that the trades are working, the job site is secure, the job site is clean, because clean job sites are one of my biggest things. I can't stand a dirty job site. Getting any subs materials that they need. So if my finishers say need some ply or whatever, that's their role. And then Rob is typically on every job site about 2 to 3 times a week, checking in, because we also use a program called Buildertrend, and Buildertrend allows us at the end of each day, we each go in and we update each job and what we saw at that job, and we upload photos. So any of us can look at it and see, okay, this is what happened at 15th Street today or whatever. And then Danielle does her thing in the office. She keeps the books in order. She keeps us happy. And if I need something done because I don't have an assistant, I don't have an intern, it's just me, I can call on her and I'm like, can you help me? Can you do this for me? And, oh, yeah, I'll make that call. So like right now she's sourcing elevators for me because we have an elevator going into a client's home shortly. So it's teamwork.
Wow. It's awesome. Yeah. It sounds like a well-run machine.
It is. But Rob's done a really great job of getting kind of a procedure list in order. So it's kind of dummy proof. Like you can pick up the binder and you're like, okay, this home is at this stage. Here are the next 3 steps that need to take care of. And then we all are responsible for signing off on each one, anything that we're responsible for. So
nice.
We're huge on accountability. So.
Well, that's the way things, that's it. When everybody can wake up every day and intend to do their very best. And most people that have a good hard work ethic will do that. But that layer of accountability is the thing that makes sure it happens.
Exactly. And there's I always tell if we've ever hired somebody new, I'm like, you need to know 2 things about me. And they're like, what? I'm like, 1, never lie to me. Because I will catch you. And it's the only time I ever lose my cool is when somebody lies to me. And 2, take accountability. Yeah. You're going to screw up. Things are going to happen. That's reality. It's a learning experience and I need you to learn from it and move on and don't do it again. And I mean, hey, I've made some very big screw ups before in the past. And you know what? I did it once and I never did it again.
Right.
So
I love it. You sound like me. I'm very similar, except what I say is, if you think you're going to lie to me, don't think I'm not going to know you're lying. And here's the thing here's the thing. I'm mostly not going to tell you when I know you're lying to me. But but believe me, I'll know. I raised 4 kids. I'll know darn well when you're lying to me. It's like, yep. You do. We're know moms. When somebody is. You know when somebody is. You know what I mean? And I say to them, you know what? I'm not going to call you out. If you're going to act like a child, I'm not going to call you out every single time. I'm going to tend to treat you like an adult. But I'm going to know. And the funny thing is I'm at the point now, thankfully, at WindowWorks that our team is so many years with us that I haven't had that scenario I just flashing back. I haven't had to say that in such a long time because most of our employees have been with us. I think the least is like 4 or 5 years, and then there's awesome. Then there's 6, and then there's 10, and then there's 11, and then there's 25. So it's when you're in that mode of always hiring new employees and younger employees. I would also say too. That was really my shtick. I used to say to the younger ones I would hire. It's like, look, don't do it here.
Don't use me as your training grounds. And and that's one thing that I always worry about with our sons and we kind of discussed on this when we were kind of introducing each other, is I hope that my boys look at how hard Rob and I work, and I hope that instills in them a good work ethic, because I have watched some trades. We had one particular framer who had his kids working with him, and I would just sit and watch and be like, oh my Lord, like, do they not understand like how to actually work? Is he not going to say anything to them? They would roll up around 9:30 in the morning, leave the job site around 4:30. If they even showed up that day, if they weren't hungover, and then watching them clean up a job site 1 2x4 at a time. I was like, I looked at Rob. I'm like, if our boys have that work ethic, I said, I will smack them upside the head so quickly and set them straight, just because I feel like it's not instilled in, and listen to me, the younger generation, but it's true. It's just, it's a different breed. Yeah. I don't know how I got the work ethic I did, but I've had a job since the day I turned 16, and I love working and I love being busy. So hopefully my boys inherit that from me.
Yes. I do think it's example. And I think I don't think it's generational personally. Everybody wants to look, somebody wanted to blame my generation, the greatest generation the World War II people wanted to blame the baby boomers, that we were all this and that. We want to say it's the millennials. It's innate. It's personal. It's how you're raised. I do think there's an innate motor in each person, and then it is affected by how you're raised, I believe. I think it's both. I think you come to a certain, my husband calls it, do you have a motor? So to your point, are you moving 1 2x4 at a time, or are you picking up 4 at a time, right? And that's a motor, and that is an inner thing. And then there is also the education from yourself, like your parent, you the parent teaching your children. It's important to do your best, whether you're moving 2x4s or you're building a house with 2x4s. It's about being the best that you can be, right?
I agree.
Yep, absolutely love it. So before,
Preach it.
Yep, that's it, right? So before we go, two other topics I want to just touch on with you. First of all, this Instagram, almost 80,000 followers, and you are the sole person that does Instagram for your company. You have been on Instagram for 6 years, but tell us a little bit. You have so many colleagues here, Melissa, that would just love to just have 10,000 followers or make 20, 30,000 followers. Are there certain things that you could think of that when you look back to when you built the Instagram platform and the things that happen at certain milestones that are good practices that you think encourage such a big following for your company?
So with my Instagram, I've been incredibly fortunate to have my work repeated by kind of those larger, I would call them Pinterest accounts, because basically it's people that just post photos that they love that have, 200,000. There's a couple that have over 1 million followers. And I've been very fortunate enough to be reposted by them with proper credit, which is key. So there's a few things with Instagram, and it's a beast because it keeps changing and I can't figure it out. I have posts that will get 2,000 or 3,000 likes, and then the next day it gets 300. And I'm like, this picture is just as good as this one. Like, what it was at the time?
What is that?
So I have found, one, you need to stay engaged. So you need to stay engaged with your post. So anytime that I post an image, I try to like every comment and I try to reply to every comment. Because that just shows that this post is, there's engagement on it. People are liking it. They're talking about it. That's something that I have found has helped. Sometimes it doesn't, though. Again, it's just this beast. Reaching out and connecting with people is huge. So staying engaged with the people that you're following, commenting on their photos, sending them DMs, like, hey, I really love what you did here. I think that's amazing, because that's just only going to bring them back to your Instagram, and it is. I spend a grotesque amount of time on Instagram because now they tell you how much time you spend on it a day. I spend on average 2 hours plus a day on Instagram.
Wow.
It is a part-time job, but it has brought us out of, I would say, our last 10 custom clients, it has brought 8 of them to us.
Whoa.
So what?
That's a little ROI for you.
Yeah, that's a good ROI. And, I will take that return on my time investment. I have never spent any money on sponsoring a post. I don't agree with that, because I think once you pay, they know you'll pay. And they're going to bury your post until you cave and you pay to sponsor one again. I hope nobody from Instagram is listening to this and shadow bans me. And I've never paid for followers, because false engagement, just because you may have a large amount of followers and you may have a big number, doesn't mean that it's authentic. And it doesn't mean that you're getting good engagement. And you can very easily tell when people pay for followers, because you just click on it and you scroll through, and a bunch of teenage boys in the Middle East, why are they following, so-and-so? Are you really sure that they're really that interested in kitchen design?
Right.
So I just think, stay authentic, stay true to yourself, and stick with it. And it did take a while. And I think I really saw a shift once I hit, which is a big number still, once I hit 30, I saw a shift. And then it died down. And it was a time where I was stuck at, I think, between 50 and 55,000 for a good 8 months. Like, it was just stagnant. And I was getting like maybe 10 new followers a day. It was really bizarre. And then something clicked on Instagram's world, and then it started going again. And then it slowed down. And then I remember I was around 60 for quite a while. And over the past few months, it's really sped up. So I think kind of once you get to a point, people see that you have a lot of followers and they're like, oh, wow, you must be amazing. Let me follow you.
Right.
But again,
it's like the party's over there. Let's go.
Yeah. They must be doing something fantastic.
Right.
Which I think is why a lot of people do feel like they need to buy followers so they get that number. But it's just, don't do it, because if honestly I see, and I have been reposted by accounts that have hundreds of thousands of followers, and then I see that they repost one of my images, and you're kind of like, you've only gotten 100 likes on that and you average 100 likes. That means that the followers aren't authentic. Mm-hmm. And then another big thing as well is when you do get reposted by people, go and comment and like every single comment on that person's post of your own work, because a lot of people don't realize that it's not the person's work that posted it. Yeah.
Right.
Even though they may tag you and they may give you proper credit. Say Cindy Lou posts my image, they're going to be like, oh, Cindy Lou, I love that wall color. What is it? And then that's when I can chime in and be like, oh, this was a custom home that we built and designed for clients. Unfortunately, I can't share that paint color info with you or whatever. Or, you chime in and you say something about it. And I find that gets you a lot more followers as well, because then people realize, oh, it's not Cindy Lou's work. You did it.
Okay.
So that's a big one too.
And to that end, when in the beginning, when you found yourself, like you said, fortunate to be noticed and reposted by some of the Pinterest-esque type of accounts, was it because you tagged them? Was that an organic noticing of you?
All organic. I hardly ever, the only time I'll tag people in my photos is if it's suppliers. So like my window manufacturer, or say if it's a Kohler faucet or something like that. But I've never been the type to tag, like bathrooms of Insta or homes of Instagram or anything like that. They found me and, they very kindly have reposted. I will send them a DM and I will thank them. Studio McGee reposted a kitchen of mine. Just from that one repost, I got over 1,600 new followers.
Whoa.
So of course I sent them a DM and I was like, Shay, thanks so much for reposting this. She's like, oh, I love this kitchen. I'm like, well, honestly, thank you. It's greatly appreciated.
Wow. That's awesome.
On me if you're ever in Calgary, so it's also showing your appreciation to those people. Don't take it for granted. Like they invested the time to find your picture and post it and give you proper credit. Take advantage of that.
That's awesome. So, and that's a great tip. It's one thing to come to the face of the post and comment and engage, but then you send, it's like the old fashioned thank you cards. You send the thank you through the DM. Interesting. And it's funny because I've interviewed Shay McGee 2 times for the show. It was episode 270 and 236. She's an absolute awesome lady. And she also does her own Instagram too. And it's a bear. She talked about how it's a bear of doing it, but you understand the level of authenticity, to your point. So I just want to recap a couple of these points. The number one, some of these points for Instagram are that what you're doing is you're acknowledging that you got lucky to some extent for that organic, but I'm sure it was what I always say, you're prepared to be lucky. Your photos were good, your work was good, your body of work was good, and therefore it was noticed. But that you go there and engage there and so forth. Your own posts you're engaging with and you're talking to the people. And then if a random designer or homeowner or anybody tags you, gives you credit, but posts again, you still go into that post and say publicly, thank you, and hey, yeah, that's my work, I'm so happy. And then the final thing is that you send a private DM to anybody that is posting your work. And then the other thing I should say is you also are mentioned a level of going in and noticing other people's work. So you're not just sitting there waiting for people to notice you. You're going in and noticing other people's work, and you're commenting on their post and then DMing them and saying that you acknowledge something is spectacular or beautiful in their last photograph or something.
Yeah, it's sharing the love. I mean, that's what Instagram is about. It's about, Instagram has been so amazing, not just for our business, but for my personal growth and design growth as well. I have met so many amazing designers and builders and architects all over the US, all over Canada, and built great relationships with them. And it's a constant, I find I'm actually on Instagram more than Pinterest now, looking for inspiration and everything else. And it's a great tool. I hope it never dies. Everything has a time span, so I'm riding this wave as long as I can, my friends. Right. But I love it. I think it's been beneficial in so many aspects of my life. Also, there are some negative aspects with the amount of time I spend on it. Like I mentioned to you, I don't allow my kids to be on devices, and they're like, but you're on Instagram. And I'm like, Mama's making money.
Right.
And then also if you can build, like I actually have a builders group that I'm on Instagram, and we message each other back and forth. And the thing I love most about them is they know my work and vice versa. So there are those accounts that will post and not give credit. And they're good at being like, oh, Veranda Interior did this home and it was fantastic. Or I can be like, oh, this was Gretchen Black or whatever. And then it just alerts us that somebody has reposted our work without the credit. So when something like that happens, I send them a DM and I'm like, hi, I noticed that you posted this image. This is a home that we designed and built. I would greatly appreciate the credit. I'm sure that you can understand, that I put a lot of myself into these projects and it would be greatly appreciated. And then I do the same thing. I like and I comment on every single comment that is left on that page so people know that it is, for a fact, my work, not who's posting it.
Have you ever had a situation where someone ignored that request and did not acknowledge you, or acknowledged and still ignored the request to give you credit?
Yep. And I just sit there and I like and I comment on every single comment they get.
Okay. So there is no recourse other than to actually come onto their page and basically, without saying that this person's a dummy, they're a dummy because I thank you so much for, whatever, right?
Yep. Unfortunately, like there's nothing you can do. I mean, there's nothing you can do. And there is that love hate, and that's part of that hate when it comes to Instagram that I don't like, just because as designers, we can relate. We put so much into our craft and into our work and time into every project. We eat, sleep, and breathe that. We wake up at 3:00 in the morning freaking out if we pick the right casing for this home, and so when somebody else takes that final image that you worked on for a year and a half, or 2 years and just posts it and it goes viral for them, and you're like, but it was my work. I did it. It was mine.
Yeah.
It is frustrating, but it's part of it. Not everything is unicorn and rainbows. So
that's what Judith, that's so funny because that's what Judith Neary says. I have recurring guests, Corey Klassen and Judith Neary. We do Design Biz Live, and she says the same thing. It's not all unicorns and rainbows. And I never heard anybody ever say it before but her.
There you go.
And when things aren't good, she says it's chickens and thunderstorms. Do you say that too?
I don't say that, but I'm going to write that down because that's a good one.
That's so funny. That took me by such surprise. Oh my goodness. So I love that though, that you don't, because I'm in a lot of designer Facebook groups, Melissa, and that is something that happens often where a designer will come into the group and she'll say, I cannot believe that this person took my image and reposted it and didn't give me credit. And what you're saying is, yes, it's painful. You understand that it's not right, but the action to take is to DM the person, and then the second action is to just forget that you can't take it down, forget that it's painful, but to just go in and take the action of commenting and making sure that everybody within that post, absolutely in the most sunshiny way, that you're the one thanking them for doing it. You're not going in being yucky. You're going in and being happy. Yay. Yeah.
Thank you. It was a great kitchen to design and build last year. You can see more, and I'll even put the hashtag in because each of our projects have their own hashtag. I'm like, you can see more of this beautiful home at hashtag Elbow Park Council or whatever, just so they can then find it and scroll through. And I don't believe in, I try not to have any negative thoughts or put any negative energy out there because I figure that's just what you're going to get back. So I'll never go at anybody in a negative way. I always try to approach it. You get further with sugar than you do with salt. So I always try to approach it that way. And I think I mentioned, I've had some negative comments from people before on Instagram, and you know what? Honestly, I'll delete it and I might block you if it was really nasty, and we might just carry on with my day because I have more important things to do than worry about somebody that's, I call it BlackBerry balls. They're behind the phone and they're going to say whatever they want because they feel like they can get away with it. I love that. But who has a BlackBerry anymore? But it just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, that's it. That's so funny. That's great. I love that. And you just mentioned another little tip in there that I think is valuable. So each of your projects, you give it a hashtag. And then that way, this is like, look, when we've got an Instagram following of 500 people, that may not be so critical. But if you have intentions and desires and aspirations to build a huge Instagram following, then that becomes a very actionable item to do, because 10 months from now, somebody will repost your image without your permission. The bigger you get, the more likely it's going to happen. And to have that hashtag and you put it in their thing, now they come back and see all the pictures for that project that you did. And of course, it's so clear that it's your work then.
Yeah. So each home or each project, because some are renovations, have their own hashtag. So typically, I take the community name and either the street it's on. I never give detailed specifics. Or if it's a custom home that's being built for clients, it would be like Elbow Park Custom custom 1, custom 2, custom 3.
Okay.
And then same for the stories. The stories are labeled, because I love the story feature on Instagram. Each home has its own storyboard. So you can go through and you can watch one of our homes be built from, okay, here we are at the architect. Here we are, at the foundation stage. Here it is being framed. Here it is, we're doing the electrical walkthrough. So it's really neat because you can kind of see how it works and the whole timeline. So I love the story feature. That's one of my favorite things that Instagram's done in the past year.
Very nice. And then the last and final thing that I have to make sure that we talk about is you now have a podcast. When I invited you to be on the show a month and a half ago, you had no podcast. And now a month later, you have a podcast with 6 episodes, which is awesome. So tell us a little bit about the name of it, your co-host, what you guys talk about, and how we can find it.
I know. So our podcast is called Modern Design Minds, and it's an extension of the Modern Craftsman podcast. So the guys run that, and Amy Kearns and I, who is a wonderful designer based out of Boston, and myself host Modern Design Minds. It's released every Wednesday, and it's on iTunes, Spotify, and something, Google something. Again, I just show up and talk. We have people that handle everything else for us, but we're basically coming at it from a designer's point of view, but we want to be able to talk to people and answer questions. If you have, are you thinking about building a custom home? Are you thinking about renovating? Do you want to get into the business? So we've had amazing interviews so far. We just interviewed Gretchen and Jason Black from Artisan Homes in Louisville, Kentucky. We have had Marianne Simon was released this past week on the 27th of February. And she was a great host because she's bi-coastal. She works out of Seattle and Charleston. So it's just, we're having a lot of fun with it. We do a Q&A every once in a while. So we get people to send in questions that they want answered. And it's fun. So you asked me to be on your podcast. And I'm like, okay. And then, you send out this little blurb and you're like, buy this microphone. I'm like, well, this one's prettier, so I'll buy this one. And literally the next week, Amy messaged me and she's like, hey, the guys from the Modern Craftsman want us to do a podcast. I'm like, okay, yeah, I just bought a microphone. I'm totally in. And the rest is history. So it's a lot of fun. We have an Instagram handle, Modern Design Minds. And so you can find us there or, like I said, on iTunes and all that stuff. And it's a lot of fun. As we discussed, I don't know what the end plan is for it. But at this point, we're just enjoying chatting because like I said, I work for myself and I don't have a lot of designer friends per se. So it's refreshing to be able to talk about my passion with somebody on a weekly basis.
That's awesome. I just love it, Melissa. You are something else. I just think you're amazing. I love the energy that you bring to it. It's clear the passion you bring to it. And the thing is that it's also very clear to me that that you and Rob have got something going on and that it's well organized and it's well thought out and that each step of the way is just really done at such a high level of professionalism. And I congratulate you for creating this company with your husband. It's really terrific.
Thank you. And happily married still too. So that's the big thing.
This is also a big thing. I've worked with my husband for 36 years now. So, and we are happily married as well. Some days are happier than others, but we are happily married. Yeah.
Why, thank you. And I appreciate the time that you've invested with me and acknowledging and being able to, to share my passion with you and your listeners is great. And I appreciate that you can see that, see through like the Instagram pictures and everything else, because we love what we do. Like there's no other way to put it. We just love what we do.
Yeah, it's so clear. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear.
We often look at others and admire what they have and wish our businesses could be that lucky. We wish we could be that lucky. The thing that I've learned, though, is whenever you talk to people who seem to have it all, you always learn that the common denominators are vision, drive, and a work ethic. The common denominators are not dumb luck, coincidence, and a tap on the shoulder by the universe. They are not. Melissa and Rob create 7 to 10 beautifully designed, expertly crafted homes every year because they have developed a system, as Melissa called it, a conveyor belt for custom home building. Together with their team, they commit to doing their very best every day, every house, for every client. But the secret sauce is they don't wish for it. They don't just see if it turns out good. They have developed a specific process to be certain that it turns out well, right? They put the work in up front so that the outcome is assured. Do you get the difference here? It's not enough to want to deliver a good result. We all want to deliver a good result. But what we have to do is we have to identify for ourselves what a good result looks like. And then, if necessary, reverse engineer it. Put it down in writing, every little thing that must happen in order for you to achieve that result. It's not easy. This is not an afternoon of work, right? But the thing is, the days and the weeks are going to pass, whether you do it for yourself and your business or not. So if you have not done this for your business, put the brakes on and make the time to do it, okay? And this is precisely where My Doma Studio can help you. My Doma Studio is the place for you to organize your projects, manage the process from beginning to end, and the place for you to communicate with your team, your vendor team, and your clients. Okay? Efficiency is how you scale. This is also how you deliver consistent results, and this is how you make money. Okay, there are no shortcuts, but at least something like My Doma Studio can walk you through some of those steps and identify for you different ways and better ways to improve your process. Okay, there are no shortcuts. Check out mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business. That's mydomastudio.com/a well-designed business. Now, back to Melissa for a few moments. Melissa brings her same level of drive and commitment to her Instagram that she does to her design process, right? You heard her say she spends 2 hours every day posting, answering, engaging with her followers, as well as with other accounts. Her clients are legitimately finding them through IG. So when she says to her kids, "This is mommy working," she's 100% right. It is scheduled into her day, just like designing, site visits, and sourcing. Okay? So the thing is, get real with yourself there too. Because if you are not legitimately getting clients through IG, then you should not be spending 2 hours a day doing it. Okay? Unless your intention is to build a big platform. Then, of course, it is something that you want to schedule in, all right? So I want to say, if you wanted to hear more conversations, more podcast episodes on my show about what it takes to build your Instagram account, these are the shows that I would suggest that you listen to. Amber Lewis, number 184. Shay McGee, 2 episodes, 236 and 270. Mr. Incredible, recently, number 417. Mark McDonough, the founder of Tastefully Inspired, 110. And you also have Mark McDonough's podcast, Tastefully Inspired, okay, and his Facebook group. Then we have Darla Powell, episode 203 and 330. And of course, Darla also has a podcast, Wingnut Social Podcast, where you can learn all about this. And she has her Facebook group as well, okay? For conversations about leveling up and doing full design build, we have Circle Design Studio, also husband and wife, John and Teresa Dorlini. That's episode number 380. And then don't forget about episode number 181. That was with Angela Rasmussen of H2H Design and Build. Okay. I also want to remind you that you can get more of Melissa by listening to her podcast, Modern Design Minds. And this is co-hosted by Amy Kearns of Lynn Interiors in Boston. So big shout out to you, Amy. But you can listen to these ladies talk more about design and the process over there. Okay. So I hope that you are thinking seriously about what you need to do in your business to really streamline your processes. And I know often we talk on the show and I direct my conversation to #baby designers, right? But this goes for everybody. I'm telling you what, at WindowWorks, 37 plus year business at this point. And I just said to Adriana just yesterday, Adriana, this is the second time that this has fallen through the cracks between me and you. We need a system for this, right? I mean, we are consistently analyzing and proactively figuring out better ways to do things. So this is not just for new business owners. This is for all of us, okay? And this is how you are always able to up your game, do better work, attract better clients, and guess what else? Make more money, right? That's the point. That's the whole point, okay? So I hope that you will sit down with your team. Sometimes what it is you have to put the brakes on completely and gather your team and just drill in for 1 or 2 or 3 days and really work on your business. Whatever it is, I mean, that's what it would probably take if you're already pretty seasoned and you've got 4 or 5 or 6 people. You might have to break out. And so the members of your team that are involved in the design process, the members of your team that are involved in the bookkeeping and the procurement, whatever it is, but don't ignore this this exercise, this chance to recalibrate and make what you're doing already better. Okay? Alrighty. So I hope that Melissa gave you some ideas here on what you could do better in your business. And I hope that you have decided which one of them you are going to put into action today, because I need you every day making a decision to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.